Yeah, thanks for being here. I, we've been gone for a while recruiting and doing a lot of different things, and getting back in the office now during the dead period has gotten us back to practice. And let me say this about get this out of the way about the DC process, defensive coordinator process. It's going great, and I've been flattered by the number of outstanding and phenomenal coaches that have responded, and a couple of really good conversations. And as I said before, that it's important for us to get the right person and the right fit that can help us achieve what we want to achieve. As a program and as a defense, and it's not about time; it's about the timing of that person and the process and getting the right guy. So I know that's not a huge update, but we are getting closer, a lot closer than certainly we were a couple days ago. And as far as time frame, I probably can't give you any one of those, but as I said, the process is moving, has picked up speed recently, and is going really well. So, but our focus as we've gotten back off the road recruiting has been on the AutoZone Liberty Bowl and on West Virginia. We had a press conference last week in Memphis. I've known Steve Earhart for a long time, and have had a relationship with Liberty Bowl back in my days, even at the University of Houston, playing in their golf tournament about every year, and being in Memphis. And obviously the other night I kind of made a joke, but I guess it wasn't that big a joke when I said I challenged the people in Memphis. I said, people in Texas know a little bit about barbecue. So I see Rendezvous is here today, so they've accepted the challenge already, and so we'll be up we'll be up there and check out. I've already checked out a bunch of Rendezvous, so a lot of people who haven't will be in the city of Memphis and eating some barbecue, which we like to do here in Texas. But it's the press conference we had. I hadn't seen Dana in a little bit of time. We talk on the phone. Obviously, Jake Spavital has worked for Dana and works here, and so there's some close ties. Dana and I go way back to our days of being in the Big 12 on opposing teams, recruiting Houston. That's how we met. And he probably would tell you the story. He told the story the other night of when I became the head coach at Houston. I actually had called Dana. We had, ironically, just lost at Oklahoma to West Virginia in the Fiesta Bowl, and it's the first time I'd really seen a tempo team. Rich Rodriguez was the coach, and I talked to Dana about offensive philosophy. Coming from Tech, the run game that was involved in that, and doing it as fast as humanly possible, as I had seen it witnessed in the Fiesta Bowl from West Virginia. And so that was kind of the beginning of our relationship. And obviously he's gone on and done very well for himself in West Virginia. A really a good football team, a team that's played in big games this season. Has some big wins, some close losses, to TCU, and been very solid. So I think you get the I kind of got the feeling that that's a hungry football team. I think a year ago they didn't go to a bowl game. He referenced that a couple times, and when they didn't do that, sometimes you don't know what you don't have until you don't have it. And I could see there was a little bit of an edge, a little chip on his shoulder to get back to a bowl game and win. So, for us, as I've said every year, this is we look at bowl games the same way. It's the culmination of a year for our seniors, a way for them to leave a legacy of who they are. We'd like them to go out on a winning note, and we've always treated the bowl game as the beginning of next season. And so for young players, we have a developmental practice period where our young players have the opportunity to really utilize this time to get better. And then as we move closer and closer to game day or game week, we start to hone in on preparing for West Virginia. As a matter of fact, today is really one of our last developmental practices where the emphasis is on our younger guys improving technique and improving knowing what to do in our schemes. And then tomorrow and Saturday, we will begin work really on the opponent on West Virginia. We'll let our guys go for a little bit of a break, and then they'll come back. We'll practice Christmas Eve will be a Monday practice for us. And then Christmas Day would be a Tuesday, our work day, really heavy work day. And then we'll get to Memphis that night. So it's right around the corner. We're looking forward to it, and we're glad these guys are here today. And we're glad Rendezvous's here today, too, for lunch. So, questions?
Over here to the right, Sam.
How's the search for a wide receiver coach going?
It's going good, too. We've got no shortage of candidates there either. And like I said, Sam, I think, obviously the priority in this time is really – you're trying to do both things at once, but really, there's probably been more of an emphasis on the defense coordinator situation than the wide receiver job. There's no shortage of candidates there either. So, we got to get the guy with the right fit, and that can bring some things to the table. And obviously David Beatty, has did a great job here for us. That's what's gotten him to be a head coach in the Big 12. So, are those big shoes to fill? Yeah, but there's a lot of guys that, based on our track record, of really 5 head coaches in 7 years, that see that as a great opportunity to come in. And I'll say this too. I think the major concern that I felt I heard from people out there was recruiting, and based on the results of yesterday, when you sign, I can comment on those guys right now. You sign the number 2 free safety in the country in junior college, the number 3 linebacker in junior college, and I can't comment on the other thing, but without coaches, without a wide receiver coach and a defensive coordinator, I think recruiting is still moving along at a pretty good clip.
To the left here, Suzanne.
On that note, when recruits do ask you about the defensive coordinator, what do you
They
tell
get the
them?
same response you get.
Which is, it's not about the timing, or the time, it's about the timing and
Mm-hmm.
stuff
And
like
then
that.
we have no shortage of great candidates, and
Do
it's
you-
about fit.
It's about fit. Do you break down the names with them too?
No,
Okay.
y'all do that.
To
Every time I get off a plane, I look on the paper. There's another guy on there. So you guys have not eliminated anybody. That's good though.
What
There's a new guy every week, or
There
every
is.
other day. So
kept us guessing? What motivated you to hire Dana when you first took over Houston?
he's a guy that I think very rarely do you use the term brilliant. I think he's when it comes to a lot of things football related, he's off the charts as a really smart guy, and you combine that with his ability to be able to motivate and communicate with kids, you see it. I mean, he's adapted schemes. He's gone from different styles. He's the things that we talked about in our initial conversation, from what they were doing at Tech to developing a run game to going to an up tempo. There's a lot of things that are being done in football that had never been done before, and he doesn't get a lot of credit for that. And he is, and knowing him in recruiting circles in Houston, and being able to have that kind of relationship, I thought it was time. It was a time where he needed to move out from under some shadows and do his own thing, just like it was time for me to move on as a head coach. And if I wasn't going to call the plays, then I wanted to have somebody that I thought was going to be innovative, going to head things in a direction that we wanted to be. And he took the job, and he hadn't looked back ever since.
And in 2009, you had him and Cliff and Jake together.
Pretty good, huh?
Pretty good. On and off the field, what was that like with those three on the same staff?
Those guys are, it's, you got to remember when Cliff first came there, he wasn't sure he was going to coach. He was still trying to play in the NFL. So he spent half the time out there throwing the ball with everybody else, and then he spent more time out there throwing the football and practicing with guys than he was as a coach. So and over time, thank God he got cut. I told him that. So that began his career, and kind of he really, Dana is kind of the guy who brought him there. He said, "Hey, look, I got this guy. I don't know what he's going to do." He said he's still trying to play in the NFL. He goes, I don't think it's going to work out. And he doesn't know if he wants to coach, but he's smart, and it's all right if he just kind of hangs out here this summer, and we'll see what happens. And so I probably shouldn't tell that story about Cliff, but that's how he became Cliff Kingsbury, the head coach now, instead of Cliff Kingsbury, the journeyman NFL quarterback. But those guys all, we brought Jake there. Jake's brother was a defensive back coach. I had known Spavital's, Coach Spavital, his dad, when I was at Oklahoma as an assistant coach, and being around Tulsa and all the great things that he had done in high school programs. So it was just a natural fit. And there's a lot of I'll put it this way: there are a lot of plays that we ran. We ran a lot of plays at Houston, but there were no shortage of other plays drawn up on the board that never made it to the game between those three.
To the left here, Cease.
Kevin, along those same lines, the evolution of your offense, I understand Dana still calls his plays. When do you go ahead and do your tweaking of your offense, sit down and say, hey, let's do this package, do the X's and O's? Do you do that a lot in the off season, during the season? When do you evolve your offense?
We do a lot in the off season. We do a lot of that. This time of year is good. When you have time and you're not pressed for games. I think game plans and things like that. That's different. During the year. We go through things on a weekly basis, and how, based on our personnel, who's healthy, what we try to do, and try to utilize our personnel the best we can. So, but in the off season, we sit down and we look at where we are. Just like I said before, we evaluate the good things and bad things. And the good things, you need to try to continue to stay ahead of the curve by evaluation, and obviously, the things that stick out to you the most are the things that hurt you or lose games, and so you got to jump on those really quick too. But I think the evaluation process in the off season, I'll put it this way: it's happening now, and whether or not all those things will be changed for this game, I don't know that that's the case. Unless you just want me to tell Dana what we're going to do, but no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, and then in the off season too, you look at the evaluation of the three phases: offense, philosophy, defense, and special teams.
To the left here, KO, and then Olin.
With the grind of a very tough season, how much more fun is this just because of the familiarity with the other coach? Because you guys know each other so well.
It is, but it isn't. It's these kind of games they're fun during the week, because you know each other. It's not fun during the game. I go back to the Cotton Bowl. It's okay during the week. We laugh and joke, but as soon as you get out there and it's game day, you're like, man, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose, and it's. That's just part. If you're in this business long enough, you continue to run into guys that's the case. Who knew? 8 years ago, I'd coach against Bob Stoops. I worked for him then, and who knew? 7 years later, that I'd coach against Dana in a bowl game. When we're used to being in the same office. So if you're in this business long enough, that happens, and it's fun, really. But then when the game starts, if anything, everybody's got pride, and so you don't confuse that, guys. You want that handshake at the end of the game. You don't. It's uncomfortable, win or lose, but it's a little bit more comfortable if you win. I put it that way.
We'll go Olin, and then Brent.
So how much, if you can elaborate about how much did that bowl game, that Fiesta Bowl against West Virginia, influence, I guess, your coaching philosophy or the coach?
Yeah, it influenced. I'd taken the job before that in mid-December, and then, but I hadn't. It's the tempo is something that, which I think people understand now. Unless you're there live, you have no feel for it because television doesn't do it any justice. You look up and they're back on the ball. When you're there live and you're like, wow, this is really fast. And at that time, there weren't a lot of people doing that, if any, and particularly with Pat White and those kind of guys. They were snapping the ball quickly and they were running quickly, and so it was something to see. And it really gave our defense some real problems. And so for me, that game had a huge impact because of what I saw offensively, because I had really never seen anybody execute offensively at that pace. And that without a doubt, that game had a huge effect on me.
Down front, Brent.
This building we're in has changed just a little bit since you came here in 01, and Coach Slocum told me that when y'all would spend time in that dungeon over there that you had to take turns, assistants had to take turns to take showers and things like that. Do you have any kind of favorite recollections or memories of your time on that west side?
I was over there the other day. It's completely changed. I was telling the story. This is kind of a somber story, but I can remember people asked, where were you in 9/11? And I was on the west side underneath the stadium, standing there watching the television with a couple other assistant coaches and just saying, wow, what's going on? And but yeah, there was just a room with AstroTurf in there laid down, and we had desks. We had like chairs with the fold-over desk, and we'd all sit in there. And RC had a big desk up front, and we'd have our staff meeting. It was kind of like this, except there were no tables, and so we'd have a staff meeting there in the morning, and then later in the afternoon, sometimes we'd pull the chairs out from under, there, and the O-line would walk through in there in the same meeting room as the staff room. So. It was really, really sophisticated, and there was a temporary wall, and RC had a makeshift office in there, and I don't even know why there was a wall in the door because it was so thin you could hear him talking in there on the phone or whatever he was mad about. So he'd close the door and you could hear him just like we're talking right now, but he might have thought it was private. It wasn't. Maybe he meant it that way because there's some things I think he wanted us to hear. So, but no, it was that's just the way it was. And the team meeting room was over there. I had the big room with receivers and the quarterbacks, and I don't even know if that it's amazing that that won't be there. And I give guys a hard time. When I go over, I used to go over last year to the 12th Man Foundation, or when we moved from over here over to the zone for a little bit, I would park over behind that wall because that's where I used to park 13 years ago. And Jacob Green said, "That's my parking spot." I said, "No, it's not. It's mine from 13 years ago over there." So it's hard to believe that's all going to change, but it's all for the better, and our fans will be really, really excited when this last phase gets done.
Anything?
I don't know if I'm going to watch it or not. Be honest with you, I got a little bit going on right now. So,
Anything else for Coach here, Sam?
I think you've mentioned before that your philosophy on bowl games is kind of the first game of next season. Can you elaborate on what that means in terms of your approach as a team?
no, I think it's like I said, there's two phases. There's a developmental phase, which we're ending, and the game preparation phase. And so what we'd like to do is really set the tone from a practice standpoint, even though it's a little bit different this year because of the 29th instead of it being a little bit later, and our final situation. We just got through with the finals. So, we haven't had the same number of developmental practices maybe that we've had in the past. That being said, I looked up at the developmental group and then I looked at the guys that are playing. Heck, they're developing because we're playing them out there right now, particularly defensively, a lot of those young guys. So that's the first phase, Sam, and then the second phase is game preparation and really setting the tone for the springboard of playing postseason football. There's a lot of guys that are young that have not been on the travel squad, who haven't been on the plane, haven't traveled, haven't understood what it's like to go to a hotel and prep. So there are a lot of things that are educational from a football standpoint, but for us, we've been successful in bowl games with doing things this way, and I think it gives our seniors a little time off, our older guys, during that developmental phase to heal up and get our young guys going for next season, and then get them ready, get their juices flowing, ready to play in their final football game.
Anything else down front, Brent? Then, Coach, before we let you go, just a few comments about Memphis and the Peabody Hotel.
You bet.
And what you're looking for.
Just on Malcolm winning the Aggie Heart Award and what that means and the type of player and role model he is for the younger guys.
Oh, there's no doubt. I think everybody has seen what a contributor, Malcolm Kennedy was to this program over the course of his career, and particularly this year, and the importance that he had. I think there's no coincidence that when he, his last catch against Arkansas won the game, and then his ability not to play the next couple of weeks had a huge effect on our team. And so, the more that you're around him, the more that you see what he did in a group of guys that were really young, including a quarterback that was really young. I can't tell you, what an inspiration he has been to a lot of guys off the field, and things that he has said, even in games where he knew he wasn't going to play. And there's a reason, usually a lot of our injured guys don't travel to games, but it was important for him to be around. And, he's a leader by example. And, that's what the Aggie Heart Award is. He's a guy that on and off the field is somebody that you can count on, and count on him giving his best and being selfless. And you know, I can't tell you how much I appreciate what he's done for our program, and he's going to be successful, you know, and no matter what happens.
Sam, you wrap us up before Coach talks about Memphis.
Quick follow-up to Dana, Jake, and Cliff. Because they were all pretty young guys, I guess some of them still are, were there any frat house type shenanigans going on?
Of course there was.
Care to comment on that?
Well, you got 2 of them were single, so, you know, I better not, you know. At one time, they all lived together. I don't think there was any furniture in there, just beds on the floor or something like that, and a TV. I know when I better not say anything about that. I put it this way: I didn't go over there very much. I didn't go over there at all. But yeah, they lived in Midtown in Houston, and anybody who knows Houston knows that Midtown has got a lot of really nice restaurants, I guess, that stay open late at night. So I'll just put it that way. And you know, the good news was that it was close. So, you know, they didn't have to fight traffic or me worry about them getting to work late. It was close enough that that they could still get there on time. I'm being polite with that. I just want to say, you know, thanks again to AutoZone Liberty Bowl. I know I talked a little bit about a relationship with Steve, and the Peabody Hotel is just a fabulous hotel. Great location for us, you know, and just a really an icon across the country, and really fortunate that we're the team that's going to be able to stay there. And I know that our players are looking forward to it. You know, our coaches and coaches' families are looking forward to it, and more than anything else, our coaches' kids are looking forward to seeing the Ducks. So that's kind of a big deal here, and we're really excited. You know, we're going to be traveling, as I said, Christmas Day, and we really look forward to getting to Memphis.